would like to welcome Maxi Hughes to the fold, to Signatures Are Us, for a Q&A session with myself, Jamie Keeble, owner of Signatures Are Us, and hopefully it'll be a nice fun afternoon with Maxi, and we'll get the answers we want. Maxi, welcome.
Thank you, thanks for having me down.
You're more than welcome, mate, you're more than welcome. How was your journey?
Lovely.
Yeah?
Peaceful, a bit cold like on the train. Could have done with eating turned up a little bit, but all in all pleasant.
I keep thinking of the word Northern Monkeys, mate, but it's just so cold up there in Taters. So yes, welcome to our humble abode. Very excited about the future for yourself, Maxi. Got a great fight coming up. What we're going to do first of all, though, is have a little bit of fun. I'm going to have 10 quick fire questions with yourself, and we're going to see how you get on with that. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. Go. Right, okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Favourite colour?
Blue.
Favourite eating place?
My kitchen.
Greatest achievement?
Winning the British title, Lord Lonsdale belt.
Happiest memory?
It's a tough one. I think I have to say my kids, don't I?
Okay. Pacquiao or Mayweather?
Pacquiao.
Reason for that?
He's a southpaw and he's the same height as me, 5'6".
Oh dear. Good answer, mate. Tyson or Ali?
Mike Tyson, and reason for that is I was born in 90s and growing up, obviously late 80s and throughout the 90s. Mike Tyson was the baddest man on planet, and it was the first boxer I ever heard of. You know, obviously during 80s and 90s, you spoke about boxing, you were speaking about Mike Tyson, weren't you? So it was first boxer I'd ever heard of and first boxer I watched.
Yeah, different class, mate. Different class. I loved him. What gives you the ick?
What gives me the ick? I told my wife this other week, it's whispering. I don't know why. Like usually.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
I'm in an house full of women. You know, I've got 2 girls and my wife, and anytime I whisper, I always feel like they're coming up against me.
Yeah.
So I think, what are you up to?
No, I get that, mate. I understand that totally. My boy's grown up. He's gone now, so I ain't got to worry about that. But okay. Keir Starmer or Nigel Farage?
I really don't like Keir Starmer and what he's about, and I've also seen him attempt to hit a punch bag.
Have you really?
So I'm not a fan, so I'll have to go with Nigel Farage.
Okay, cool. When are you at your happiest?
I think when I'm at home, doors are closed, and there's just the kids when they behaved.
Yeah, of course, yeah, okay. And last question on this quickfire scenario is, what is your biggest disappointment?
Biggest disappointment? Probably, as I mentioned earlier, what happened to me in Las Vegas, you know, from getting deported, jumping through hoops to get there, and then, you know, then to have my soul punched in, you know, on a big audience, my biggest stage yet. That one.
That must have been so demoralising for you, mate.
Yeah, I actually, you know, I remember being an amateur and seeing some lads cry when they lost, and I laugh. I would never cry when I lost, but Las Vegas, I did cry, and I couldn't help it. It was uncontrollable, you know.
More emotion?
Yeah, there were a lot of emotion, and seeing some close friends there, seeing them upset, my wife upset. You know, that it wasn't a nice place to be, but you know, that's boxing. You live by the sword, you die by the sword, don't you?
Are you not a very big fan of the Americans?
Well, it wasn't the Americans, it were I boxed the Mexican. American Homeland Security, yeah, they was the ones who caused the problem. So yeah, in terms of that, it was actually called Agent Fong from Homeland Security. He was the one who caused all the problems and started it all off. So no.
Do you think if that was someone like Usyk, they'd get that sort of treatment?
I think he would have maybe higher up people, you know, a team around him to maybe help fight that case. But when I tried to explain myself and all that, they just wouldn't entertain me. Although saying that, Usyk did get arrested in Poland, didn't he?
That's right.
At the airport. So maybe not. Maybe not.
I just think that sometimes it gets taken to a different level, and it's not good. And you know, when you're trying to prepare for a fight and get ready for it, and that happens to you. But, you know, fair play to you for sticking your neck out and say, you know what, I'm not going to give up this fight, I'm going to have this fight. And maybe if that hadn't happened, more time to prepare, it would have been a different result for you.
Maybe, yeah. And I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses, because that's not who I am. I chose to go through to the embassies and make sure I got the visa. I chose to get in the ring. So I suppose that gets me out of using it as an excuse. You know, I chose to get in there. I thought it'd be all right, but, you know, not only was I up against it with the time difference and going through all what I had to get through just to get to Vegas.
Yeah.
I was in and against an unbeaten elite Mexican fighter who could really, you know, he could punch.
Yeah.
So, you know, I had that to contest with as well, and it just wasn't my night. But, you know, that were last March. I've rebuilt, and I'm back on the big stage in Dubai, and I get to move forward.
I have to say, obviously, you know, I've watched your videos of you fighting, and the last fight you had with Archie, you just seem to be a completely different man. You just like really wanted that so badly. You know, what was your thinking when you actually got into the ring before you fought?
I was supremely confident that I was going to get the win, and I knew he were going to come and try and mess about and spoil and try and take me off my game. But, you know, where I am in my career, I feel like I am in my peak physically and mentally. I've got the goal of winning the fight and obviously progressing my career, so there was just nothing that were going to derail me. And it's going to be the same, you know, in 2 weeks on Friday when I fight in Dubai. I've got the same mentality, same mindset and same goal. You know, we want to get to that world title. I'm not overlooking Usmanov, but, you know, I've got laser focus, and I'm just going to make sure that I get the job done, however that comes.
Yeah, mate, we wish you the best of luck for that. So let's have a quick talk about Usmanov. His first name is Bakhodur.
Backdoor.
Backdoor, yeah. Yeah. Obviously, it's a WBA lightweight title eliminator. What do you know about this kiddie?
I've had a little look at him. He was a decent amateur, which doesn't always transition to being a good pro. He's only had 11 fights. You know, I've had more than 11 championship fights at high level. So the experience is on my side. And that's what's going to get me through this fight. As long as I'm switched on and I'm the best version of myself, which I will be, I believe that that's just going to be too much for him.
How have you prepared for the fight?
I train all year round. You know, I'm a year-round athlete. I work very hard. And then when we get the dates and the opponent confirmed, sort of tailor my training. You can never get a sparring partner who's exactly like your opponent, you know, so we just get similar, and what we focus on in sparring is me being my best version, me, you know, not sort of training for what he's going to do, train for what I'm going to do against somebody with a similar style, and that's how we've been prepared so far, you know, spar twice a week, and, you know, the rest of the training, I put a lot of work in, you know, I live the life. Got a very supportive home life, you know, my wife, my kids, which I think is, you know, it's my key to getting to being the best version of myself in the ring.
We were talking earlier on about obviously your age. You are 35 now, and we're talking about professionals in sport that are of a higher age but are getting better. So, for example, we spoke about Ronnie O'Sullivan. The man's nearly 50. I don't know if he's 50 yet, but he's at that age. But he's just like seems to be getting better with age, and that. What keeps you going? What keeps you motivated to be that, you know, that better person and to try and want to win this world title?
I think I've still got the fire in me. You know, I speak to a lot of former fighters who have been world champions who have retired, and I ask them, when do you know was the right time? You know, was you ready for retirement? And the answer's always the same: you will just know. And with that in mind, I'm like, I know it's not now, because I've still got this hunger, you know, to get out of bed once a week. I do the 4:30 a.m. alarm, and I go out and I go running, no matter what the weather is, whether it's nice and sunny, or obviously this time of year it's dark, it's cold, rainy, windy. I do it, and I tell myself, if I can still do that, get up when the alarm goes off, get out no matter what the weather, the fires, the passion is still there to go and put myself through, an uncomfortable run in some miserable weather. That tells me that I've still got the fire, and I'm still competing. Like you say about other sports stars who's still performing at an older level. You look at footballers, Messi, Ronaldo. That level, and we spoke about Joe Calzaghe.
Yeah.
He had his best fights, best performances from mid-30s. I think he retired 37, 38. And that's when it was at the highest level at that age. So it shows you, and a key part of it is living the life, which I do. I live the life all year round, train all year round. And I feel like that's given me a bit more longevity in the sport. And, I've said I feel like I'm in my prime physically and mentally. So, with the advice I've got off former fighters, I'll know when it's time to hang them up. All I know is it's not anytime soon.
And we hope that you we hope that dream comes true, and I feel very positive it will do. I mean, what is the sort of day-to-day run of the household, of the Hughes household? What goes on in the house? I mean,
so obviously my trainer's on board, got on very well with my trainer Sean O'Hagan, and he's of the mind, as long as everybody in your house is happy with our schedule and how we need to train, that's a big part of it. And I suppose I'm quite blessed as I get to wake up and I have to do this. I do school run, get the kids ready for school, do the school run, and from 9 o'clock when the kids are dropped off, that's when we'll either be going out sparring, running, whatever is on the list of what I need to do that day training. It gets done, and it's all done in plenty of time to work around, my wife and kids.
What's the support been like from the community for your fighting? And
it's been brilliant. I'm from Rosington, which is a mining village. That support, and obviously as I've gone through the levels, the support's got bigger, getting a lot of support from all the Doncaster training Leeds, get a lot of support from Leeds. And obviously getting to know yourself and you supporting me, and now Signature us being on board as a sponsor.
Thank you, mate.
Very grateful for that. And it widens the audience who, and I think a key part of it is getting out and network, meeting people and getting people just to like you and want to see you do well. I think that's, that always brings a lot of support in, by getting out and meeting people and just showing who I am. I've always said throughout boxing, I'll always just be true to who I am. I'll never try and be a character, a villain, out like that. I always said, I'm going to be me, just who I am. My personality is what you see is what you get, and I think, most people like it. You can never please everyone, but, most people jump on board and they're always supportive.
I think I'd like to put a question out to all the viewers of our channel. Is Maxi Hughes the nicest boxer you could ever meet? That's a great question. Is he the nicest boxer you ever meet? He's so humble, isn't he? Yeah.
It is a humbling sport. And I always say, obviously, we travel around a lot for sparring. Most people you meet in boxing, it's a working class sport. So most people you meet, there's a very, very small percentage who let it go and get to their head, and they think they're above everyone. But generally, most of the people you meet in boxing, real salt of the earth people, and what you see is what you get with
them. Which is true. That is definitely true. Can I ask you, going back a little bit, what was your first boxing memory?
My first boxing memory?
As a fighter?
It would have to be the first time I ever went to gym. I started out as a rugby league player. That was my first sport. That was the first sport I was fully dedicated to. And
was that Leeds?
Doncaster.
Doncaster, okay.
Doncaster Tollbar, under 13s, under 14s played for. Apparently I was a good rugby player. I had some good days.
Well, you get hit a lot, don't you, mate? So
it helped toughen me up, definitely. And then after 2 seasons, just approaching our 3rd season, during the pre-season training, our rugby coach took us to a boxing gym, took the whole squad of us, just for some different training, keep us interested, different fitness. And I suppose that was my first boxing memory, first time I'd ever walked into a boxing gym.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're doing boxing training. I was like, I like this. I really like it. And we had a couple of weeks at that. And I started looking forward. I was looking more forward to going boxing training than getting up field and playing rugby. And I was like, I think I might look into that. So I asked my mum, I think I want to stop playing rugby and I want to do boxing. And my mum's always been, my biggest fan. She says, right, I'll find out. Find a gym where you can go and do amateur boxing. Luckily she worked at Royal Mail sorting office. Somebody there was used to be an amateur boxer, and they put me in touch with the Doncaster Plantworks Amateur Boxing Club where I had my amateur career. And that's where it snowballed from. So that was how I got in, and that's my first memory of boxing, and that were 21 years ago. And I've never looked back. From the first day getting involved, it's been my life. It's took over my life.
And what about your team you got behind you now? Have you been with the same team for a long time?
I've changed teams a couple of times, but I've known Sean O'Hagan, Josh Warrington's dad. I've known Sean now for the last maybe 15 years. And he's been part of my corner team as an extra pair of eyes in the early days when I was with a different team. But as my career progressed, I realised Sean was the perfect fit for me as my coach. Our personalities and characteristics gel well together. He knows the right things to say to get the best out of me. And it's just the perfect fit for a coach for me. I've got full trust and faith in everything he says, and I will always listen and go out and try and do everything that he says.
I think it's just nice to have that level of relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
That you're working with, and I just think that once you've got that, then that's all you need, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like having that trust and faith in your team. That it's just all little tick boxes up here. Which boxing is a very, I suppose same as all sports.
Yeah.
You've got to have them tick boxes. This is your mental attitude has got to be clear, and no negativity in there. And that's what I feel I've got with, from my home life to my team, my gym life. It's all positive, and that's what brings the best out of me.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. That's what you need, and I just think that, like I said before, having that behind you 100% makes everything better. What do you actually eat before you fight? Do you have a pre-set meal or anything like that at all?
Try and usually, so let's just start from fight now. Wake up, it's usually a bowl of porridge, followed by maybe a slice of toast, peanut butter and jam on, peanut butter and jelly.
Jelly.
Get the carbs in, and then from then on, dinner's quite light, maybe a small portion of pasta. And then for my last meal, so I always try and stick to, they'll give me a rough estimate of time. They might say, right, you're going to be in ring roughly at 9 o'clock. So I'll work back, right, 5 hours back from 9 o'clock. And I try and usually get a jacket potato with cheese and beans.
Nice.
That's usually my last meal I eat. And then it's just a couple of little snacks in change room. We don't, when the nerves and the adrenaline start pumping, hunger's the last thing. But I know with the potato and the pasta I have, that my body's fueled, and that's it. Just good to go from there.
So how do you focus when you're waiting to go out, and you're in the changing room, and you're there, and you're just, how do you focus? Do you have a massage? Do you just
gentle moving about? I like the atmosphere to be quite light, and we're very, we like to have a laugh, and we have a laugh right up until it's time to flick the switch. Right, ring walk now. It's time to switch on. So I'll always make a brand new playlist for I've got in my phone saved. I've already made the one for Dubai, so we've got Dubai playlist already building. And it's usually 60s, 70s, 80s. All a lot of old music. That's what we like to listen to. Keep the atmosphere nice and fun. Upbeat music. We like a laugh. And usually I write myself a little piece of paper just with a few little notes of thoughts and things that have motivated me throughout training camp. And then when it's nearly time to go, just before I get the gloves on, I usually go have a look at myself right in the eyes in the mirror, you know, give myself a little pep talk, read me little notes, and then the switch is flicked. I know my job in hand.
Do you pray?
No, I'm not a man of religion, and no, but I just, you know, I'm able to flick the switch. And obviously throughout training camp, which we've known about this fight for a while, it's like the instructions are fairly simple from the team, and they're all up here, and it's right, I know what I've got to do. It's just about going out there in front of all them people and executing and getting my hand raised.
What are you walking out to, song-wise?
This time it's going to be Golden by K-pop Demon Hunters. They're a new, I think it's a new film at the minute, but my daughters absolutely love the song. So it's a little nod to my daughter saying, I'm doing this for yous. This is the song yous love. So I'm going to walk out to it for yous.
And on your shorts, you've got the name of one of your daughters on there? Is that what you got?
Yeah, Bo and Remy, my daughters, that's who, you know, they're my biggest motivators. So I always carry their names on my shorts. And usually, so I always have it small. My granddad, who I'm named after, Maxi,
Yeah.
you know, I always have granddad on there because he were a massive fan. And it's just been such a shame, you know, he died just before COVID, which I think would have seen him off anyway.
Yeah, of course.
He had miner's lung, all that. But he was a massive supporter of mine, and obviously carrying his name forward. He'd not got to see all the success that I've had, but you know, I carry my granddad's name on my shorts just to make sure that you know, his name's there.
I do want to ask you something that I've been thinking about a lot. I've written it down anyway. If you could fight anyone, past or present, who would it be and why?
So I nearly had my chance to fight him, but I always wanted to fight Lomachenko, just because I'm a massive fan of his.
Great fighter.
You know, great to watch. I even watch him and try and learn and pick things up. How did he do that? You know, I'll try and practice that. And it was 2023. I went out to America. One of the most controversial robberies, you know, of this modern age. Myself versus George Kambosos Jr. We had an eliminator for Lomachenko. You know, and I got majorly robbed. You know, so much so that the IBF, you know, it was an IBF title eliminator. We complained to the IBF after, and they had it rescored. And I've got the email on my phone. It says, look, we can't, so apologies, but we cannot overturn the decision. It's not what we do. But we recognise we've had it rescored, and we would have had you as the winner. But for you, you know, to try and do something for you, usually if you're having a world title eliminator and you don't get the decision, you drop down the rankings, or very worse, you're thrown out of the rankings. In my case, I was then elevated. I was put straight back into another world title eliminator, which was the Las Vegas scenario we spoke about. So, you know, they did compensate me in putting me back into an eliminator, but that was my chance that I should have had to fight Lomachenko for the world title. It was taken away from me, but, you know, he's since retired. Retired as probably an all-time great, and Loma is someone who I would love to have fought.
So, what, in 3 words, what is your boxing style, would you say?
The sweet science.
Meaning?
Hit and don't get hit. Southpaw, not many people like fighting southpaws. You know, I'm a left-handed fighter. You know, and I think a big strength of mine is people watch me from the outside, and it's hard to pick up on what I do good, and that by watching outside, I might not look like them. But being able to read me, you know, it's a lot of feedback I get from fighters who have fought or kids who have sparred. They don't realise how hard I hit, don't realise how hard I am to read, and how hard I am to actually catch clean. So, you know, it's
got quite a good chin, you mate.
I have, I would like to say I have.
Yeah, I noticed that when we were watching the fights and that lot, and how it is. So, to bring it to a close, Maxi, obviously, massive event on the 12th of December in Dubai. Are you going to win?
Absolutely.
You are?
I don't go over there with any doubts. I know what I've got to do. you know, and I'll get the win, whether it's by knockout, win every round, or whether it's a messy fight. However I need to win, I will win. I'll be coming out of that ring with my hand raised, and I'll be going forward for that world title next year.
And what does the future hold for Maxi Hughes?
It's that world title shot. It's got to be this. We're now in a world title eliminator, so you know, get the job done in 2 weeks' time, and you know, the goal is the world title next year.
Well, on behalf of Signatures Are Us, I'd like to thank you for coming down today. Thank you for making that effort, and we will support you 100%. And let's hope on March the 12th you become the winner.
December 12th.
December the 12th, that's it, mate, sorry. So let's hope on December the 12th. I know what's wrong with me today. And you become the winner, and you get that title you deserve.
That's it. And on behalf of me, I want to thank Signature Us, yourself, Jay, for backing me, supporting me. And it's been a pleasure to come down and meet your full team.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.